here's my 1975 Cadillac. We're finally trying to sort out the issue as to why the battery tends to die, and it seems to be rather weak with regard to, I mean, I jump-started somebody's car and, well, actually it didn't. That's the whole issue. So I've removed the alternator. The battery has died a few times. I figure it's on the weaker side by this point, but I don't think it's the main culprit. I think the alternator is. And when we had the alternator last replaced, and we've had it replaced a couple of times, and I think we've learned our lesson here, we used a 60 amp or so. I think it's 63, I think they rate them at, or something odd like that. But so we bought an 80 amp, and I think this summarizes the difference between the two quite well. The left is the old 63 amp, and the old is the, and on the right is the larger, quite larger, 80 amp. And not only is it in that dimension, it is in this dimension too. So I'm going to have this installed in the car. I'm also replacing the air conditioning and water pump belt because no amount of belt dressing in the world has stopped the high-pitched squealing as soon as I turn the air conditioning on. I mean, the squealing does go away after a minute or so of the belt kind of being forced to heat up, but that's still not a good option. And we put belt dressing on it to the max, and that hasn't really helped. I'm also sorting out why in the world the secondary is never open and the car never accelerates. My father decided he was going to adjust the choke, and he broke this little T-fitting made of plastic, of course. And of course, plastic, top of a hot engine, doesn't last very long, or, well, it lasted 40 years until something was jostled. But if you look really closely to what it kind of moves, that is the vacuum advance on the distributor. Henceforth, why it doesn't accelerate. He did try to glue it, to his credit, but JB Weld, not the greatest stuff. But I'm going to get that sorted out, and I might try to fix a vacuum leak in the climate control. Here's my current situation to get the heater to shut off. It's this direct vacuum line bypassing this one here, going to the heater core valve. It's not exactly a perfect solution, but it gets the heat to shut off, which is the main issue, because the air conditioning gets quickly overpowered by the heat to where while the air itself actually works, it'll blow hot air if you accelerate or something when the vacuum drops. But I do hear a whistling or so in the dashboard, and so that will be a more permanent fix if it works. I'm not so sure it will, but this summarizes it, I think, pretty well. I'll have that all buttoned up when I get to the next scene. Something new is installed. And you can see the new geek belt sitting there. I do have to tighten the powered steering pump a little bit because it squawks just a tad as soon as you dead end the steering. It's kind of a little bit back here when we started, but not by much. It just needs to be tightened. The new alternator's in place. I do not like the fact that it's so much larger that it can't have the same rear steering mount. Put exactly there, but no longer does it. And I've tightened. I stripped out the bolt up here, that mount when I was tightening it down. I was trying to overcompensate, having 2 instead of 3, so I had to put a backing nut there instead. But I don't think this is my biggest one. I did replace the vacuum line T there. That is sorted out. I did take the horn out and see if I could figure out that too while I was at it. This upper one, it has a dual note horn, the lower one down here, and the upper one there. Only the lower one's operating. The upper one, we got it to work last year through adjustment and lubrication and tapping on it. This year that didn't do anything, and it reads open circuit on my ohm meter, so I think it's shot for good. Inside of the car you can hear a minor vacuum leak. Actually, the vacuum leak went away. I did take that apart. As far as I could tell, I couldn't really fix it, but I guess fixed itself. But that actually went to it went, when you removed the line connected to a T up under there, and held the T shut, the leak went away. It had to do, I believe, with the parking brake vacuum diaphragm. But I did figure out why. The climate control wasn't exactly working right. I mean, I could move this thing wherever I wanted it to, but it would just blow out of the lower vents down here. And the reason for that was something so simple that I kind of wish I'd have sorted it out years ago. I just put up with it. There is a, this here is part of the air doors and the like, but this I'm gonna open the car door here so you can get a little bit more light. But I don't know if that's gonna help anything, but oh, well, it does, because you get the lights down here to turn on. But this whole connector with a bunch of vacuum lines here was halfway off, and it caused everything to kind of operate weirdly. It kind of went into like factory default with, you know, fail-safe mode, which turned it all to the lower ones. From what I read, it should have turned it all to defrost, but it didn't exactly do that. Yeah, this is the interior of this car, which I might add is for sale. So, yeah, this is it. I'll just slam the hood down. Well, I do have to remove my little, keep the hood release thing open before it'll actually want to do that. I have a coin stuck behind the hood release lever. It's a trick that I've used since the spring here doesn't have enough power to push the thing open when necessary. But there it is. All sort of fixed. It'll never be fully done, and this car is for sale. I've got to get rid of this thing before it nickels and dimes me to death. The body work on it is atrocious. The fender skirts are in the trunk, but they virtually fell off. Anyway, hope I didn't show my license plate, but at this rate, who the heck cares? But yeah, this is it. 1975 Cadillac.